Heather Dubrow and Sutton Strack until 2 in the morning.
Wait, so then that was right after my thing then.
Yeah, that you didn't invite me to.
Oh, sorry. Okay, let me just tell you that
we have some things to discuss. Are you gonna start singing Defying Gravity?
Any moment. Just like that. Forever, Elphaba. Yes.
Well, I mean, it's perfect.
I've been obsessing over this jacket for quite some time.
Beautiful.
And it may have gone slightly on sale. And I was like, okay, now I'm buying it.
It looks great. I love the shoes. I mean, the whole thing. You look like a cute little baby angel.
Thank you.
Well, since it was just happened and I only now just recovered, my last big night out, you were a topic of conversation.
I'm nervous about this.
No, this is good. Because you and I have this really interesting position in the Bravo sphere.
That's where we're going.
That's where we're going. Because I had the bubonic plague. It's like I went on the Oregon Trail and got typhoid. I was sick for 5.5 weeks. And my last big night out, I was with Meredith Marks, who's your bestie.
She is.
Sutton Strack, Heather Dubrow, Denise. I I was whole crew.
Denise Richards?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's like Hall of Fame every
Crystal,
franchise.
Crystal, Jennifer Tilly.
Oh my gosh.
Epic. Sutton's Christmas party was amazing. And Meredith couldn't really, she didn't really know if she could trust. She was very one hand out all night long.
With you.
With me.
Yeah.
And Sutton was like, no. This is Liz. And remember, Liz had a show with Bravo, which is actually, I think for those poor women, especially the Salt Lake ones, maybe not a good thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe they're too close.
Too close. But as I continue to drink more.
What were you drinking?
Champagne, which was a horror. I'm never drinking champagne for the rest of my life. I have never been so hungover.
That's Heather Dubrow's influence. Champers
the whole night long. Yeah, because it's not Sutton, because Sutton was vodka.
Right.
So the whole night though, because I know Heather, I know her children very well, as do you know, and the whole night I kept being like, no. As I kept getting more drunk, going up to Meredith Marks, going like, no. I know Anthony.
What'd she say?
She said, I love Anthony.
Yes.
I'm like, I love Anthony too. I'm like, no, but I'm like a good one. But fast forward till 1 in the morning, we were talking about you. We were talking about Heather, who I'm close with, the whole thing. And it's so lovely. And she was like, you and Anthony, trying to get it. I was like, listen, Anthony and I are the yin and yang, but the same position. We are Bravo adjacent, but in it, but out enough of it to actually survive. And it's quite strange and unique.
It is. And the funny thing is with with Meredith and Seth is we always say am I their fourth child? Which we say no, because I'm too old and Meredith and I are only 12 years apart. But I'm kind of now we've said her long lost brother or something.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because I am kind of the gay uncle at especially for Brooks, which is how we first met originally. And so Brooks has become such a he's only 25, but I mean from being 19, when I met him, he's just become such a great guy. So,
and it's funny with Bravo. I mean, I know for my former show, it was all about queerness in Bravo. That was kind of the log line, right? And there was always this interesting conversation about the women of Bravo and their gay best friends.
Yeah.
And are they commodifying gay men? Is it okay? Do we kind of love the almost dragginess of Bravo?
Yeah, it's so funny. I've said this before. I don't actually not maybe beyond my house, the walls of my house. But I have a vivid early memory of Bravo.
Okay.
A show called Sheer Genius. Do you remember the hair cutting one? Do you remember that flashback? So my mom and I wasn't out, but I was getting there.
Okay.
And my mom and I were in the living room together watching it. And she literally even made a grammar mistake. And I still make fun of her for this. We were watching it and her takeaway was, is all of these men gay? And I was like, yes.
All of these men, they be gay.
So I remember that though, because Bravo for me early on, I know this is it was a big resource. And I loved seeing, even though I wasn't out yet. I mean, I also, going back, you're going to love this. Do you remember the show Workout?
if you want me, I could spill the most insane tea on Jackie Warner, where let's just put it this way, the last time I saw Jackie Warner was in the NBCU building,
Okay, we're going
where
yeah.
she had sequestered me into helping her pitch a comeback show. And I kid you not, this is a true story. I said, "Oh my god, where's the restroom?" And you know, because you've been there a million times.
Yeah.
It's like a fucking building right by the Universal Studios, okay?
Yes, a
So there's
high
like a
rise, yep,
freeway right there.
yeah.
I go, "Oh my god, I'm so you guys know where the restroom is?" They're like, "Oh yeah, down the hall." I literally picked up my little purse, picked up my computer, walked out, went down the hall, blocked her number, and I've never seen or heard Jackie Warner since.
I never met her, but my story with
And that is
you're
the
like, that is
that was the last of the last for me and Jackie Warner.
I saw her once at the Abbey, but we didn't speak. But my workout connection is so kind of like, okay, now I'm out. Okay,
Okay, you're out.
now I'm out. And I saw Jesse, who was one of the trainers.
Okay, now
Jesse Brune,
yeah.
I still am buds with him. But I was like, that's who like the kind of guy I like want to be because I like literally was out for like 2 seconds. Like I just
You
come
wanna
out.
be or you wanna be with?
That's a tough question because the lines got blurred when you're a gay man. Like, is it aspirational or is it an attraction? You know. But no, for this, I was like, that's the kind of guy I want to be. And so I literally was like making no money, and I was like, I'm gonna hire him as a trainer, and I did.
You know what? I am obsessed with that because I think back when I first and it's when you first moved here, right?
Yeah, and like he was here, and then I literally just found a way to.
What were you doing for work at the time?
Um, I was the connection continues at Access Hollywood, NBC. Literally like the lowest level of, we found our way. But like, in the beginning of my career, I was literally delivering coffee and newspapers at 5 in
Okay,
the
first of
morning.
all, that's how all wonderful people in media started.
You learn it all.
You learn it all, and also probably a testament to why you're so fabulous on camera, behind camera, strategizing because you get
Thank
it.
you. I can
You're
build a
welcome.
chiron if I need to.
Ed.
I can clear a song if I need to. I did all those
Wait,
things.
I just have to say how much I love you for that because I get it so
You
deeply
do.
and so many people don't. Like yesterday I had this woman in a business situation sort of trying to flex on me a little and I was listening and I look at her I go, "God, how much was the song clearance on that?" And she looked at me like I was a
You're
psycho
like,
and I'm like, "No, honey,"
no.
because I remember at my little days at MySpace getting pulled in and they're like, "You can't have this Drake song." I'm like, "Okay, well,
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and you know what? One more interesting thing about the Access Hollywood days. So I had a stint in photo clearance, which
well,
was
that's cool."
unbelievable and so useful. I still use knowledge from that gig. Gudrun, you're the best. She was my boss. But um, I was doing that in like the Britney heyday era of paparazzi pictures. So imagine how every day it was something like, the wig, the Red Bulls, the British
Oh
accent.
god.
Like I'm a Britney stan, but like, we all, that's a documented time of her life. And like,
It's history.
it is. And I was getting, we would get pitched those pictures and I was like, what a time to be in this.
In this,
Yeah.
that is so fascinating. I remember seeing Amanda Bynes, the Rite Aid on Sunset in Fairfax.
Yes,
It's like
of
so
course.
sketchy.
Yes.
And like the pancake place or the waffle
Uh,
places next door. And I'll never forget, I was there and I saw her, and somebody, paparazzi took a picture of her like in the aisle,
Ugh.
and I'm like creeping in the
In the back.
and it's just all over TMZ. And I'm like, they didn't clear my
You're
image
all-
in the back. I guess it's like public if you're in the Rite Aid.
I
like,
guess, right?
buying Progresso chicken noodle soup. 'Cause that's how poor I was. I it's Bravo is so iconic. The interior design shows, like all of those things were so wonderful. And I think there is this really fun.
I'm Tabitha
element.
and I'm taking over. Remember that?
I fucking love Tabitha.
Me too. Me too.
Is she a les?
I think she is. I'm pretty sure. Like, yeah.
I think she is too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, and now obviously the bread and butter has become housewives, and summer homes, winter
Summer
houses.
House. So excited. Starting soon. New season.
Never seen it.
Oh my, I binge it all. It's iconic, obsessed. You will literally, like, I was so.
Really? I think I'm too close. Here's the
No.
problem. Hannah Berner is a dear friend, and
Mhm.
I was like in it. in
Yeah,
it. So this
in
is
this
a
space,
question.
yeah.
Okay, so you've actually been my moment on Bravo, on actual physical Bravo, was on the cutting room floor. I was at Kyle by Me, Eileen double
Oh,
two five or
yes,
whatever. And I
yes.
was like, I'll sign that release. No problem. I mean, this is like back in the day way.
Back in Beverly Hills in the corner of that
And it was
store.
the fat Jewish and I like somehow there. The whole
Oh,
thing
wait a
was
second, I was there.
in the store. Remember of the
I was
party?
there with the fat Jewish. Oh my gosh,
I was
we
there.
didn't even know we were at the same
This is what I
event.
mean, Anthony. This is what I
I
mean.
was there. I remember what I was wearing so vividly, like, because I
So do
mean,
I. I was wearing these crazy boots and I was like ready to go, and none of my friends would sign the release. And I'm like,
I feel like
well, why are we here then? Like, let's do it. But there's been so many important, incredible moments, I think, for the queer community that you've
mhm,
actually really helped facilitate a lot of not only coverage but conversations. Obviously, I know Bronwyn really well, who's a dear
mhm,
friend of yours, and you helped
mhm.
her
Yeah,
come out. I think yesterday she celebrated 5 years of
she
sobriety.
did,
So
she did.
kudos to you,
She's
girlfriend.
doing so well. I just saw her, in Franklin. I was in Tennessee where
Oh, you went? Yeah.
I did, and, I'm just so happy for her
I'm
that
really happy
she's,
for her too.
yeah.
She's like doing the thing.
Mhm.
Um, Another person along the many years who's like, "Oh my god, you're not friends with Anthony?" I'm like, I think we
Ah!
are gonna be. Obviously, you've gotten close to Meredith Marks, who I'm absolutely obsessed
Mhm.
with. Meredith, please call me. I might potentially be in love with you.
Try that caviar, it's
I did.
delicious.
What are you
There's
talking about? It was me drinking
and
champagne with
caviar.
Heather and on potato chips eating
I love
caviar.
the potato chip. I know it's controversial for
Oh
some.
no,
I
I
love
love
it.
it.
I love it. Yeah.
No, I love it. I love the blini. I just like caviar.
Yeah.
There's been obviously Heather Dubrow. I've had, Max on my previous show. She and Terry are so
Love
wonderful.
Max, love Terry. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, Terry also said that I needed a brow lift, not an upper bleph.
be like, "You paying? Is it free?"
100%. But there's been all of these really interesting conversations through the lens of the housewives, which is almost, and now, oh my God, New York is just like a bunch of lezzes. So like
Mhm.
we've had
Or
these
aspiring, Bryn. She loves
bless
Jenna. She loves
God
Jenna.
bless Bryn. God, what a season. But I think it's interesting because there has been some that conversation around like, is there a commodification of queer culture within these like women? And I'm like, okay, yeah, but it's kind of awesome that these conversations are being able to be had
Yeah.
on such a big platform.
1,000%. And, speaking about, the work that we've done at GLAAD, like one of the things that I'm most proud of, and I'm not taking credit for it fully, but I definitely put it out there to Bravo and to others. I was at BravoCon year one, spoke to on the red carpet to Madison. Do you watch Southern Charm?
No, but I know who Madison is.
Okay. Madison and Patricia. Sorry, I should have
Yep.
said that this is about Southern Charm, which
Miss Pat, though.
Miss Pat. And I said, I was like, when are we gonna get LGBTQ people on this show? It had been on 8 seasons at this point, and Pat was like, "You're right." She's like, "I have so many amazing friends," but she's like, "I think they're too fabulous. I don't think they'll wanna sign up for it." And I was like, and then Madison was like, "Oh my gosh, we should totally do this." So then, like, I like, kinda continued the conversation. Cut to 2 years later, now we have 2, gay men on the show,
Which is great.
Rodrigo and Ryan, who are both lovely, and
Every reality show needs a gay man named
yeah,
Rodrigo.
and, like, I'm just happy that, like, a show that literally only had straight white people for years, now it really is, way more inclusive, and listen, it's a dramatic filled reality show, but it's still great to have people a part of it.
And I think that conversation of representation matters. For folks who don't totally understand GLAAD,
Yeah, I'm ready.
well, do I? But is GLAAD, I'm obviously familiar with what GLAAD does,
Mhm.
but can you explain how
Yeah.
GLAAD works in the entertainment industry?
Yeah, so GLAAD is the largest media advocacy organization for LGBTQ people. So what that means is that we're working with the industry through media, film, television, music, video games, podcasts, and beyond, just to make sure that our representations are there, that we're a part of the conversation, and also not only that we're a part of it, but that our representations are done well, that they're done thoughtfully, and I think that it's like, for a long time, television was like, great, we have Will and Grace, gay men are cool. But it's about so much more. in 2025, there's non-binary people, there's trans people. So it's making sure that all parts of the community are included on television, film, music, and beyond. And so we're nonprofit. And I think if you look back at the history, GLAAD was created in 1985 in New York City in response to the inaccurate and negative headlines that were coming out about people with AIDS and HIV. And
Mm,
so it was about correcting the narrative and in media and saying, look, that's not who we are. That's not correct. It's not a gay disease, all of those things. And so then flash forward to now, it's really about embracing, supporting, and being a part of holding the entertainment industry and beyond. It's not just entertainment anymore because, it's advertising and beyond.
right.
Accountable, but also working with them in productive ways to have LGBTQ people a part of the conversation. I think that people love to call us like media watchdog for a long time. And I
Ah.
think that that is correct, but it feels a little like negative connotation to me. But I like to say that now we are really working with everyone within the biz just to make sure that, we are a part of everything and then it's done well.
And how does that work technically?
Yeah.
Like from a studio perspective, like I'm gonna throw out Universal because you are
Because I'm
basically
wicked right
Wicked
now.
today.
Yeah.
So John's working on Wicked. I mean, that's actually a terrible example because it's
I have an
such.
example for you. Want me to tell you?
Yeah, can
Just
you?
I've got a case study for you. So here
Woo!
we go.
Love a case study.
So back when Grey's Anatomy, longest running show on television, back in the beginning, not in the beginning, but like when they decided they're like, we want to bring in a trans doctor into the series. Like,
Hmm.
they reached out to GLAAD and said, how do we do this? And we said, okay, which is the right way of doing things because I think the problem at times is, and it doesn't happen as much as that these creators and writers, they put something onto paper and they love it. And then we come in and say, well, actually, like that's not great. And it's harder to get them to erase it and change it. They came in
Oh.
super early. We're like, we have this idea. We want there to be a trans doctor on the show. Like, how do we do this? And we said, okay, we met with the showrunner, the writers. We got them trans people to speak to, and then we were helpful with when they found the trans actor to play the trans character. We worked with that actor too because it's like that actor, just because they're trans, does not necessarily know how to speak about this role publicly. In
So it's a bit of media training as
it's
well.
everything. So it was advising on the script behind the scenes with the showrunner. It was being a part of, the creation of it, aiding in that. And then when it came time to for this character to air on television, then it was about media training this actor so that he could talk about it in a way that was best for everyone. And so it's kind of like that's like the whole beginning. And so yeah, basically these studios, Shondaland, et cetera, and ABC know how to find us. And so that's a really like good example that I like to give
That's
people.
an amazing example. I recently ran into in the Soho House parking lot, an actor who will remain nameless, who
Ooh.
is currently on a Taylor Sheridan show.
Okay.
Now, I will admit it here as a queer woman who is in entertainment and has been my whole career and also sits on political queer boards that I actually really like some Taylor Sheridan shows, which is completely psychotic because they are just MAGA propaganda. And the conversation with this actor that I had, because as you know, I give no fucks,
Mm-hmm.
I said, how do you grapple as an actor when you get that script and you have to make such inflammatory comments about trans people and pronouns? And he was taken aback that I actually asked
In the
him that
parking lot.
in the parking lot. And anyone who is from LA and knows how long it takes to get your fucking car from Soho House, West Hollywood,
It's true.
knows how awkward this is.
Right. You're just like,
Cause I'm like,
do, do,
do,
do.
do, do,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And he said, well, I mean, as an actor, I said, no, because if you actually watch 1883, 1923, Yellowstone, Landman, Lioness, all of those shows, somehow Taylor Sheridan, like jacked up on tea, has infiltrated a conversation where it doesn't even make sense to make a comment about pronouns.
It's just, and I'm not lying. I've never seen any of those shows, and I know they're a big deal and people love them. I just have never.
You can see it's MAGA propaganda.
Yeah,
I'm just being
I just was like, I don't think it's for me, and like that's disappointing. That like for no reason, just throwing a jab in there that makes no part of the story.
But like, is it ever a situation where something like that you see a pattern as GLAAD and
Yeah.
you're like, hey, let me reach out to the
Mhm.
studio? Like, do you ever go that way as
We
well?
do for sure, and I think that happens so many times because I think we always are coming from a place of how can we help change this or help improve a situation. Like we're not going to, um, just blast someone to blast someone. So I think, the first
Of
step,
course, of
the
course, of
first step would
course.
be like, I even said, I was like, like for certain projects, I was like, I would love to talk to so and so because I think that maybe there's a better way to continue this narrative or
Sure.
something, and so that happens all the time. But yeah, it's like and there's always going to be certain people that are so deeply convicted in doing things like you described, but nicely, I think a lot of people also are really open to doing the right thing.
I think so too. I mean,
Yeah,
listen, at the end of the day, this is the arts,
right.
And I think there's been some actually really beautiful television. An example I would say is Fellow Travelers.
I love. Yeah, I
You
mean, of
love
course, I love.
you
Yeah.
did oh, I didn't know if said you were gonna I loved it. I also watched half of it and then watched the rest of it on a plane
Oh yeah, different
next
experience.
to
Well, there's a lot going on there. I know
it's
that we should talk about that. I cannot watch explicit things on airplanes because I'm worried constantly that like little Joe, who's 5 years old, is like watching, and it has nothing to do
I
with.
was sitting next to a gay couple, and this was all from, like, Milan back, and so my wife had, like, taken some sleeping pill, and I didn't. I do this really weird thing in my body. I'm almost like my dog Ravioli, like, I fight the drugs. So then I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
so I just decide not to take them, and I just stay awake. So I was like, "Oh, this is a perfect opportunity. I have, like, 10 hours. Let me watch Fellow Travelers." And this guy next to me, and I'm going to assume that they were a couple because 'cause I'm
Mm-hmm.
pretty sure they were. He could not believe that I was essentially watching, like
An LGBT, like a gay man's show.
I mean, that's not just a gay man I mean, I would even
That's
argue
true.
Golden Girls, which, by the way, I'm rewatching, and it is the best show that has ever existed.
I watched the entire series again when the pandemic started because I was like,
How good is it? That
yeah,
pilot is
I know.
perfect television. Anyway, it was like basically watching porn, but I loved that show, and I grew up in San Francisco in the early 90s. I unfortunately had family members that died of AIDS. I
Hmm.
watched it as a kid. I was like that story was very familiar to me, and so
Hmm.
I actually thought that they had done it with a lot of care
I
and
thought so too.
grace, and
It won a GLAAD Media Award.
that's a good segue. GLAAD Media Awards.
Yeah.
So, I obviously come from an FYC background. I ran FYC at Condé Nast for many years. I am now at The Hollywood Reporter, where we work with studios, and, you know, different folks about trying to get awards from a plethora of different academies, if you
Hmm.
will. And it's a really interesting business because you have to be a part of certain guilds. It's like a very tricky voting body no matter what the award is.
Right.
Who votes on the GLAAD Media Awards? Like how does that come together?
So the GLAAD Media Awards, there's an extensive committee that is made up of people who are in the industry,
Okay.
who are a part of a piece of entertainment, and so it's a wide net group of people.
Okay.
And I think that with the GLAAD Media Awards, I pleasantly so I'm the executive producer of the GLAAD Media Awards,
Okay.
co-EP with the great Rich Ferraro and Sarah Kate Ellis, our president and CEO. But I am always so pleasantly surprised how important and meaningful the awards are, and even the nominations are to the industry because
Yeah, it's
they're
amazing.
like, and maybe I'm just like because I'm in it every day, but when I get like Matt Bomer telling me how amazing it was to have Fellow Travelers, which you were just speaking of, win the GLAAD Media Award. It really is so special because it is so important that we've expanded so much. It used to be film, television, and now we have obviously we have podcast, we have video game, graphic novel, kids and family,
Which I lo we s
children's,
shout out to Nicole Maines, who's a
double, I
nominee,
believe. Yeah,
double
lots of
nominee.
projects.
We
Yeah.
love
We
her.
love Nicole Maines, yeah. And yeah, so really the GLAAD Media Awards are kind of the best of the best when it comes to LGBTQ media. So we honor film, television, music, and then we usually have a big ally honoree. We've had Beyonce, we've had Oprah, that level, and then we have queer people that get awarded, like MJ Rodriguez,
Mhm.
Andy Cohen, Ricky Martin. It's great, and so it's like two big honorees, and the rest is the best of the best for queer media.
And how does one campaign? I mean, my whole career is campaigning.
Yeah.
So I'm just
Well,
that's
there
what
is
I'm
a
saying.
submission process.
Okay.
So yeah, submissions open. And so
So people submit and
yeah,
then it goes into this pool. So
yeah.
it's not like you guys arbitrarily pick people. You
No.
have to have submitted.
I mean, if I was picking Real Housewives would win every category, which can't happen. So no, it's a committee of I mean, I feel like you should be a part of this committee.
I mean, or perhaps
A
nominated for
voter.
podcasting,
Yeah.
considering I've been doing this for a long
You
time.
it's I feel like it's in the future.
I hope so.
Yeah.
But no, I'm just curious because to be honest with you, truly, in all honesty, you and I have both been in traditional media for a really long time.
Yeah.
Like, access, like, your resume is incredible. Like, I have worked for Condé Nast, like, every large, but I was the first queer executive ever hired at Bustle. I like built those brands.
Yeah.
It's been hard out here. It's been different. Always kind of the one person in the room, like kind
Yep.
of holding it down, for folks. And
Yeah.
so GLAAD is so important to what we do because we do need, you can call it watchdog, you can call it, you know, uh, really just like the arbiter of truth. Like, you know what I mean? We need those things
Yeah.
across not only film, television, podcasting, music. I love that video games is a part of it because I think that
That's
is
where it is at. That is
so important.
it's so important, and the way that video games and I am not a gamer at all beyond, like, Words with Friends, but, like, the
You have
power
words with
right?
friends.
Still going.
Are you?
Not really,
You
but
should add my mom. She's like really
your
into
mom.
it.
But, like, I think that's amazing how the way that video games are literally the biggest form of media
Huge.
right now, and that the industry at large has really embraced this idea, and not even idea, this fact that so many queer people are gamers, and so they're putting them in
Yes.
their games, and that's why we have, thankfully, multiple, I think it's 10 nominees that
I
are
loved it.
great, you know?
Well, because that also video games have been traditionally incredibly misogynistic,
Yeah.
homophobic,
Yep.
racist.
In the hyper masculine superhero who
Correct.
finds the girl with
With the
big
huge tits.
boobs.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's like, yeah,
exactly.
exactly. And so I thought that was like
Yep.
so cool. I mean, talk about to bring up Nicole Maines, who's an incredible, she's doing her comic books, but she tried to explain to me RPG games,
Oh, I don't even know what that is.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Ah,
Who knew?
who
I was
knew?
like, you know that you can play that game for your whole life?
That's crazy.
She told me you can play it for your entire life. One game. I still don't get it.
I need a clear
It still
endpoint.
doesn't make sense. But
Yeah.
but for me it's like, having those awards, even I would say extending into advertising
Yeah.
is so important because I think that it can get lost. And like there's so many creative people in this world that are queer. There's so many people that touch all of these like so much of the media that we ingest, but
Yeah.
then what um you forget how siloed it can become,
Yeah.
which is why, not to like bring it all the way back, which we love to do on Cool Cool Cool, which is why I actually love how much you work with Bravo and the housewives there,
Mhm.
because bringing it back, talking about these conversations. I mean, we even see it with Salt Lake with Mary and her
Yes.
poor son this year with
Yep.
addiction. It really is important to have these normalized conversations, especially as it relates to like queer representation. So I really do
1000%.
am such a fan of GLAAD. Never been, but
We're
maybe one
gonna
day.
fix that.
Start the diet now. But it's so cool and it's so important. And it also gives us a space and a night to celebrate our community.
It does, and I think with the GLAAD Media Awards specifically, we always say it's a party with a purpose because it's like so I book all of the talent for the award show myself, and so I think that like when you have an opportunity to have someone like Oprah, okay, so it's like I've got Oprah, but then it's about what can we get her to talk about that's going to really impact the community and make people either feel seen, feel less alone, or also change hearts and minds. There's that part of it too. So when we worked with Oprah, for example, such an opportunity because when Oprah speaks, the world listens. She wanted to talk about her brother, and she wanted to talk
I remember that speech
that right,
vividly.
who was
And Beyonce, by the way. I remember
yeah.
her speech vividly.
Beyonce and Oprah both spoke about family members who were
Yep.
had passed away from AIDS and HIV, and I think that what a beautiful moment for the community of today, or
Yes.
family members who were affected by it, to have that and to hear that kind of love So yeah, that's always what I am really proud of is that, it's an opportunity to have a big star. But also we have such an amazing team that worked to make it a really impactful, special thing for us, for the LGBTQ people.
Is GLAAD worried about the current administration as it relates to entertainment and media?
I think, of course, we are. I think, we're not a political organization. Obviously, what we do with our voice and media is make people aware of what's
Yes.
happening across the country and with the administration. I think that,
But are you more specifically, are you worried that the current administration will impact the types of film and television, podcasts, et cetera, that are being created from a content perspective?
we were just talking about this. I think it's completely natural to be worried because, everything feels very intense right now. But I do think that when it comes to um, LGBTQ content, I think that it's going to still be there. And I mean, I was thinking, I was like, I don't think that all of a sudden I'm going to turn on CBS and all like on the sitcoms are all like cis white people now. I don't think that's what's going to happen.
That's kind of what I mean, Joe
Right?
Rogan,
Who's
like,
that?
I love you. I love a who's that. But, like, do you know what I mean?
I
Well,
know.
and Taylor Sheridan, who arguably, as I said, is making this, like, MAGA fucking content. You know what I mean? That's where sometimes go back and I'm like, "Oh god." But you're right, I think sometimes, hopefully, we see in climates like this, though I would argue we haven't seen something like this on this scale in maybe our life for
Yeah.
sure, our lifetime, but also,
Hmm.
in maybe 2 generations. Hopefully, there's resistance.
Yeah, and I think, even of people like a Mindy Kaling, who is so deeply committed to, spotlighting queer people, but also people of color and different backgrounds and different stories. I don't see the opportunities for someone like Mindy just like vanishing. And I
Yeah.
think that I would hope that that's the case. But yeah, it's a very
But do you think there's going to be diminished roles for trans folks? I mean, even granted, Amelia Perez is a huge front runner in the Oscars this year. You and I are both good friends with Trace Lizette, who's
mhm,
also a friend of the pod, who was incredible in Monica. Nicole Maines, who was on a massive CW show. Like
mhm.
those women that I speak to are concerned about trans roles
I'm sure they are because
evaporating
we didn't have enough of them
to,
last
to
year.
begin with.
And so
Exactly.
now the risk of there being even less is really sad and really scary because there's so many talented trans men and trans women that
Yes.
that are in the entertainment industry that are actors. Um, I think that I've always said I was like I want to see Michaela J. Rodriguez and Channing Tatum in a rom com together because I think that would really like
Yeah.
break through to people
I
and
feel like Loot was close.
yeah,
Loot was, like, getting there
Lude
for
is great.
yeah, Loot is great.
GLAAD Media Award nominee, and I think, obviously the great Joel Kim Booster's in that, but
Yeah.
speaking on, with, Michaela J, I think with, just also such a great music artist too,
Oh my god.
and I think
Wait, you were there. Did we miss each other again
oh,
when at
no.
the Abbey reopening?
No, I was not there, I was out of town, I was devastated because obviously it was epic, and
Well, it also feels like you should be there. You're
I
like
should
the
have been
guest of
there.
honor.
Yeah.
I was there, but you know who I actually saw who I had the most fun with that night was Saweetie.
Oh,
Great ally, perhaps. Or I mean, she might be bisexual, I'm not sure.
I
But
think Saweetie is incredible, and I've heard that, and I think
But she and MJ
we're
were,
like
like, in the booth and, like, they played MJ's song and she did a whole thing,
I
and I
love
was
that.
like, "This is my fantasy."
It's great. I think we'll be seeing Sweetie soon with a something with GLAAD, so yeah.
I love her.
Mhm.
She's so great. She was so cute. She was, like, teaching my wife how to take, like, better pictures of me. I was like, "Okay, sweetie." But yeah, I think you're right. I think when it's more mainstream, like you said, a rom-com with kind of like a classic blockbuster
Mhm.
star, cis male star opposite to a trans woman or vice versa would be
Yeah.
really impactful.
And I think, for example, like, Will and Harper, the doc that Will Ferrell and made, I think, of course, Will is a big movie star, beloved by so many people, a straight cis man, of course. But I think, the way that that documentary introduced Harper, his best friends, who just happens to be a trans woman, was incredible. I had my aunt telling me that about it and how
I wept
Yeah, and I
in
think
that during that
but
document.
it's like the more that
Wept.
I think even in these really difficult times that we can find ways to introduce people, specifically with trans people, then they'll realize that they're just like us. Like it's so it's so sad, but like I hope that that continues to happen.
You've interviewed pretty much everyone on the planet, like every dream interview. I love asking people like you this question. Is there anyone you haven't interviewed yet or like had an opportunity to, work with at GLAAD and that sort of thing that you would be like dying to do?
I think like I'm trying to think who would be
Cuz I mean the bar is set quite high. Oprah's off the list. Beyonce's off
Beyonce.
the list.
Um no, it's a tough one. I'm trying to think. I guess we you can edit this obviously as I'm thinking. I'm like I'm trying to think. Um
Joseph's the one editing it, so he'll
oh
figure it out.
sorry. You're like we don't edit. No. A dr-
Hard to you don't need a lot of editing. That's why I love having people like you on my
oh,
show.
thank you.
Because I mean, you've real. Let's like rip through Mariah Carey.
I actually have never met her, but that would be incredible. She
Okay, there's one.
Mariah's great.
Mariah was great on Las Culturistas.
Beyond. And also Mariah was honored by GLAAD before I started. And I remember she did a famous, we'll have to look it up, like LGBT.
Yes,
And she did like
yes.
a really like
Oh my
cute
god,
and
that's
yeah.
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 Okay, so Mariah could be good.
Mariah could be good. But I'm trying to think of a queer person because it's like, it's yes, allies are of course, but it's
Have you
like
ever interviewed Ellen DeGeneres?
I have not.
That would be a hard interview, but an interesting
It
one.
would be very interesting. You know who would be amazing? Because he's like on this major resurgence is Alan Cumming.
The best.
Because,
First of
Trader is
all,
obsessed. Yeah.
but you've met him.
I don't think I have, honestly.
I got to work with him on. Okay, so Fun Liz Cully facts. Speaking of awards,
Yes.
I told at that time the current president of Peacock, Kelly Campbell, I said Traders is going to win this year, and she's like, I don't know, and they were so stressed out. So we did an awards screening where you try to like get people interested in the show. That's kind of how FYC works with Alan Cummings at San Vicente Bungalows, and Alan iconically was having dinner with Monica Lewinsky downstairs. It's like
That is so
that's his best
crazy.
friend.
I guess I could see that totally. I mean, sure.
So like they send my little self. They're like, hey, like we gotta let Alan know he's got to come up and do the panel and the whole thing. I'm like gooped gagged. We do the whole screening. Monica does not stay, and I was like, what do I say to Monica Lewinsky? Like you're an icon. Like oh my god, whatever. So she leaves. We do the screening, but I'm talking to all of the executives, and I was like, listen. And again, this is my business, so I'm like, okay. RuPaul, this wasn't my favorite season. And I think it's a good season actually this year, even though the queens are so young, which is crazy to me. But I'm like, I guess where are you going to find drag queens these days?
Right.
But I love RuPaul's Drag Race. So I'm like, not a great show. I don't know Padma leaving Top Chef was great. I like Kristen a lot. She's so
I love
beautiful. I would love to interview her if you're listening. I would love to meet you. But I think the Padma leaving thing was hard for the show from a voter's perspective. This is not personal, right? I'm like tactically going through it. And
yeah, you're like maybe they didn't like change because it's been so familiar.
Yeah, and
so
also
long.
I actually really liked her. I thought she was so emotional.
lovely, yeah.
No, and she's beautiful, but she's smart, and I liked the way that she interacted with the contestants. It was very different to Padma. Oh, we could have a whole podcast about this. But I said, here's the thing about traders. Every single person in this town, B, C, D, if you want to name style of celebrity, traditional, reality, whatever, they all want to be on that show.
Oh, I mean, how could you not? I even asked Meredith. I was like, would you? And she's like, I would. I think she was like, I need to learn more about it. But I was like, oh, you want to be on this one? Like,
I actually
for
think
sure.
Meredith would be great on the show.
And I think she'd be great on Dancing with the Stars too.
Yeah, honestly, I just want to be on Dancing with the Stars because
Let's put it out there.
No,
I just thought of the dream person.
Who?
Dolly Parton.
We got to make that happen.
Because listen, she famously
Has she ever gotten a GLAAD Ally Award?
no, but she presented to someone, and I think that
Well.
she's very careful and understands that she has a wide ranging group of fans, and she likes to keep things very pink and butterflies and stuff. But there have been times where she's said, that she thinks that LGBTQ people should be treated with kindness. So I think that would be a really interesting conversation.
I want that for you.
Put it out there. She and I can bake a cake together. Listen, the thing about Dolly is that if she puts her likeness or her name on it, cakes.
Ice cream.
I bought a pan the other day because it was a Dolly. I was like, I want that. I'm like, yes. So it's great. Smart.
I love that for you, Dolly Parton. So anyway, very long-winded story short, Alan Cummings was so wonderful. He shook the hand of and took pictures with every single person that came to that thing.
Great.
Which at those screenings, it's pretty much people in the industry, so you don't really see that. But the love that people have for Alan Cummings, you must interview Alan Cummings. Also, was Traders nominated for GLAAD?
It was not this year, but it will be next year because this year is like the queerest season ever.
And also, I said it on Threads to the 3 people that follow me, and I will say it to you here now. Bob the Drag Queen is the best reality contestant that ever was.
Also, so amusing how everyone says Bob's name differently. Like Bob the Drag Queen, which I think is an accent thing.
Did I just say that?
No, on the show, someone says that. Carolyn says that always.
Who even knows what Carolyn's saying? I don't even know what
and
that
then it's
woman.
like Bob the Queen.
Bob the Queen. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Bob the Queen. There's a lot of all the straight white cis men are like Bob the Queen or like BTQ. Like you're like, what the fuck are you even talking about? No, I agree.
What about Dylan Efron still using the misguided drag name in the Instagram profile? That's right there.
No.
Yep.
He's cute.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
Misguided. I am rooting for my girl, Rochelle.
I don't know if maybe. I mean, I'm rooting for her, but I don't know if I like it when it's like a whoa, like sweep at the end.
Yeah.
I'm the jury's out. I didn't love last night's episode. I'm getting a little. It kind of, what's interesting about that show, and I think there was some issues. Obviously, I think Peppermint, who I love dearly, was very eloquent in speaking about how she felt, getting to be one of the first people, or I think the first person, cast out. Is that I need my queer people to stay strong this season because they're starting to get snuffed out, and I don't like it.
And also, how dare they eliminate all the housewives? Almost like in the beginning, Dorinda, Robin, Ayan. I'm like, what? I don't like where this is going.
I don't like where it's going either. I love Dorinda so much, but she would have just been like blah, blah, blah the entire time. So I'm actually okay with her going first. I love Dorinda personally.
I was devastated because I was like waiting for the drama. I mean, I think Dorinda would have been excellent either as a faithful or as a traitor.
Would you ever go on Traders?
I mean, I gotta get on a reality show first, clearly. But yeah.
Would you? And that's actually a question that I had in the back of my mind 30 minutes ago that I forgot to ask. It just, why is Andy Cohen not putting a whole gaggle of gay men together or queer couples or queer? Like, I just think of my married queer friends, trans, gay, bisexual, lesbian, even in Los Angeles alone.
I think he would do it, but here's the problem. It's been tried and it has not worked and it's been done badly.
Who did? What was it?
There was multiple versions.
But there was the one that Joey was on, the MTV.
Yeah, and like that one I don't think was fair because that was Real Friends of WeHo. But the problem with that one was, remember, people were mad because it was like, it was shortening Drag Race basically.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And people got really upset. So I don't think that was given a fair shot. But like, if you look back and like, even like, there's been like finding Prince Charming, I think was like one of those.
I'm not talking about dating reality. I'm
Just
talking about like you
A-list.
and your partner, Rachel won't go on reality. But
Same,
like,
you and I will have to.
Oh, yeah. So we're married.
Yep.
So you and I mean, I could just do the whole show right now between our friends.
Yeah. I used to dream that back in the day that like there would be kind of like the gays running Hollywood reality show. Like there'd be like a publicist, there'd be like, a producer like me back when I was at NBC and all that stuff. Then I realized that I think probably might not be the smartest career move. I think maybe now I could do it, but I think, it's like they want it to be entertaining. And
I turned down The Real L Word. Could you remember that show?
Oh,
Could you have imagined? I was wasted running around West Hollywood in the closet, like, but those, and a lot of those ex-cast member or the cast members are good friends of mine now, and we just laugh. Like, I would have been a menace to society. I probably would have
Yeah.
been like the bad girls club of West Hollywood vibes.
Yeah, and so I think that maybe now I've got my,
Really? I don't know if you and I would even be good on those shows now. Rachel doesn't think I would be because I'd be too controlled.
and also, like, I was at dinner with my partner the other night, sorry about that, and I literally, like, he said something to me, and I think in my mind, I was, like, on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City Reunion Part 2, and I was like, "How dare you?" And, like, I mean, so I can do it.
Oh, you can go
I
there.
can go there. But do I want that,
I mean, my worst nightmare would be sitting around. I don't really talk shit like that, but sitting around the table reading my meanest text message. That was mental. I don't know. I actually need to ask Heather about that. That was mental. I couldn't even believe they did that.
I remember when I was in, I guess, like, probably college or high school, I had, like, 3 girlfriends, and we were all in the car together, and we did a similar game. We're like, "Let's, like, say the 3 worst things about or that we like least about you." And I was like, "Oh my gosh," I was like, "This literally is giving me flashbacks." Because remember, it was like, "Read the worst possible thing in your phone about so and so."
It was dark. It was really dark. All right. Well, I think if there were to be a reality show about queers in Hollywood, it would be insane for you not to be starring in it. So I will lobby.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah, let's make it happen. Let's call Michael Davies at Embassy Row, my former producer who creates Watch What Happens Live.
I mean, we know all the right.
Between you and I, it's a wrap.
We got it.
I mean, it's a wrap. I am willing Dolly Parton interview in 2025 for you.
Okay. Dolly Parton.
I don't know. I feel like we've got to make it happen somehow. Or maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I also, like, am the biggest fan of Nashville. I go all the time. Do you guys go to Nashville?
I've never been.
If you go, or when you go for the first time, I have to be involved because I'll tell you I'll show you all the right
Can't
spots. There's a Dolly Parton themed bar that's actually super chic.
Oh,
Yeah. No, but it's like my favorite place. And I always, like, sometimes fantasize. I'm like, I'm just gonna move to Nashville.
like every other person in Hollywood. Why not?
And, like, work at, like, a supermarket and just be out of it. But then I'm like, I like it too. I like what we do so much.
I think you're very good at what you do. And I think it would be
Likewise.
hard. Well, thank you. But are you kidding me? I fantasize about it all the time.
Or it's always like I'm moving to Palm Springs and working at Trader Joe's, and that's it. Like, where, it's like where the day, like, when you
Ends.
and there's no, like, panic but
But I don't know. So you, again, because we're essentially just the same person,
Yeah.
I hear you. And I think about that often. I'm like, I need the day to end. Like, my wife doesn't have to look at emails
Yeah.
or, like, answer phone calls or worry about when the Oscars are happening. And, like, if I have to fly here, like, her day just ends.
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
I know, but then it's like I think back. So we did an exercise once, where it was like kind of, I think you were assigned a color, and I think I was orange. And one of the traits, it was like, they figured out, like, what color you were.
Your aura color.
Your
yeah.
aura. And
Wait,
mine,
I'm orange too.
thrives in chaos was one of them. And I was like,
Oh,
here
I
I
think that
am.
was me too. I went at some, like, beauty influencer
Yeah.
thing, and they put me in a little teepee and they took my picture, and it was orange. It's thrives in chaos.
Thrives in chaos. It's like, psh, got it. I mean,
Wait, when's your birthday?
mine?
Yeah.
October 5th. Libra.
Really? Not what I would have thought.
Trace and I are very close. And I think Trace is like October 3rd or something.
Yeah, I think she is.
Uh-huh.
Do you know your rising and your sun and all that?
I don't, and I want to learn all that, but I know famous people who have the same birthday as me.
Who?
Guy Pearce, Kate Winslet, and then Nikki Hilton and I are the exact, now everyone knows how old I am, same day, year, month, everything. We were born in the same second into this universe.
Love Nikki Hilton.
Me too.
Ugh, Nikki Hilton, Rothschild. Oh, so chic. Wow. I don't know who famous birthday I have.
What is your birthday?
July 9th.
What if I was like,
That'd
and
be
I
so
knew it
cool.
all, but no.
Next time you'll be prepared.
I'll be prepared.
Anthony, this was the longest standing needing to happen podcast that's ever
Thank you for
existed.
having me. Let's do this,
All the time.
All the time. And yeah, we're going to have a little kiki with Meredith and some caviar, but less champagne maybe, right?
I don't think I'm ever drinking champagne again.